Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Penny Lane Podcast with Santa, Aristotle and Kuya with guest host Ellis Dillinger. This week, we're sponsored by Pennies Going in Raw and Last Bottle Wine.
The stock market is hotter than ever right now, and traders are taking advantage. But what does that mean for the people who still haven't started trading? The market can be a little intimidating at first, but you don't have to be alone in the learning experience. We at the Pennies Going in Raw podcast are here to help you. I'm Dan, and with my co-host Hugh Henney, we make the stock market a fun but informative experience for our listeners. We offer knowledge for all levels of traders, from beginners to those who do it full time. On PGIR, we discuss up-to-date news about the stock market and interview other traders who all started out just like us and made it big. You'll hear from Hugh and other multi-millionaire traders, founders and CEOs of companies, FinTwit superstars, and even professional athletes. Have you ever thought about investing your hard-earned cash but don't know where to start? Do you have money just sitting in your savings account collecting dust? We were all there once too. Listen to Pennies Going in Raw on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, Santa and Kuya. Welcome to the Penny Lane Podcast.
Thank you, guys.
We're happy to
Thanks for
have
having
you.
us.
We also managed to get Ellis back on the podcast with us tonight. Ellis, what did we do to deserve this honor?
Well, Santa has been my boy for literally ever, so I had to be here. I mean, we go way, way back. I don't think people know that, but yeah. Little side story is PT is actually the first trading Discord I ever joined for penny stocks. Like way, way back. Like when Rob Trades just started trading in 2019. I used to be on Robinhood, and he'd post his play, and I would just slap it and just overnight it every single night, and it was just hitting. It was just and we were going crazy. So yeah, it was the first Discord I joined, and then I think they went paid, and that's how I got into Sapphire. So a little fun fact.
Fun fact. Man, those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah.
Just buy a call and it just would work.
Yeah, I used to buy my IRA. I'd buy $500 worth and then just send it. And I'd wake up and be like, I made 40% for no reason. No idea what I was doing.
I've been talking to a lot of really good experienced traders, and guys, it's a bloodbath out there. That's what I'm seeing. People are trying to stay positive and everything, but I feel morale is down.
Oh, for sure. A lot of the I call them the OGs, so I'm in a smaller Discord, and some of the guys been trading full time for 15, 20 years, and they're just on the beach, just hanging out, getting tan and fishing. So they're like, I'll be back in February. So everyone's going through it.
Remember how we all thought the market was coming back in January? Well, this is all BS. We thought the market was coming back in September, October, November. Then we thought we'd have a Santa rally. Then we're like, first of the year, the market owes us. And we're at war here.
Not the PT boys though. Kuya and Santa, they crush it every single day. I see them.
Yes,
all right.
sir.
Well, tell us how you're doing it.
Well, for me, for one, I take care of the pre-market crew most of the time, and then we switch over to voice chat at 10 a.m. But like I always tell everybody, especially on Twitter, I believe if you have a positive mindset in anything that you do, you can find some good results. So my way of looking at it, there's always a certain play that's going to go. Always. You're always going to find at least a 20% play at pre-market if you're playing with news, as long as you're playing the right news. You can't just play anything that, sounds good. You have to make sure that the volume is confirmed. All your indicators are telling you that it's good to go. And, there's always an abundance of money out there somewhere. There's always a play for me.
All right. So I just interviewed Radio Silent Play, and he's really good on mindset and positive thinking and stuff. And he has got me on this 30-day regimen of meditating at night and in the morning. And so I'm on day 6 or 7 now. And I mean, not to be voodoo with you guys, but I'm feeling better. Feeling more positive. I'm trading better. I mean, it might be a little too early to tell, but I'm here for the mindset.
I think you
Yeah,
have more clarity, so that always helps focus and kind of nail those trades.
And I just don't feel as scared, So that's good.
yeah. There's an analogy that I like to use a lot. I play soccer or football, whichever you call it, but it's in any sport basically. If you're playing with fear, you're gonna get injured, in my mind. So
Oh
if you're
my
playing
gosh.
if you're playing
I
penny
love
stock
that.
or options with fear, you're gonna get burned somehow because you're just attracting it. You're thinking too much negativity, and you're just, in my opinion, you're attracting it, and you're not even ready, to stop loss or do whatever. You gotta trade with your indicators like a robot. That's the way I have been managing to deal with this, tough market.
I like that. I like that a lot. I also love a sports analogy. Love it. So
I'm a gym bro, not an athlete, so yeah.
that that makes sense to me as well.
I'm with you,
So
Ellis.
there you go. That's two of us. Yeah, I just go to the gym and like try to look buff for the chicks. Even though people think I am a girl still, so you know.
Are you getting any cardio in at the gym, or is
Nah,
it
it's
just
bulking season right now.
sure? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
come on, Kuya probably knows, right? It's bulking season, right?
Yeah, I used to get up early and trade, many hours, but recently I've found out that, the less I trade, the more effective I am. So I'm usually up at, 4 a.m. to check the news, and then I'll usually head to the gym most of pre-market.
Now, are you on in the east? Are you on the East Coast?
Yeah, I'm on the East Coast.
Man, I've been having to wake up 30 minutes early for these meditations. And by 30 minutes early, I mean like 7. It's really kicking my butt. So props to you for a 4 a.m. wake up. You really want it. And that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Santa, are you going to the gym as well?
To be honest, I like to go for runs a lot. I do work out at home, but I don't think it's the same as going to the gym, of course. But I do, like, let's say mid afternoon, I do like to go to the park for a little run, just to like get off the screens.
Mm-hmm. Do you so all of you like to exercise. Would you guys say that it is vital to your trading career to like be able to get some exercise in?
Yeah, for me, definitely. I believe that's the best way that you can get rid of stress.
Absolutely. Yeah, not looking at screens, just anything to get your mind, put on some music, whatever you like, and just kind of disconnect. I would say anything for your mind. You talk about meditation, and I started meditating when I was 19. I'm 25 now, so I've been doing it every day for 6 years almost.
Alice, your depth never ceases to amaze me.
I do everything. What do you mean? Come on.
My God, you're like you're like an onion. Ooh, the Shrek analogy. We just keep getting more and more information about you. You've been meditating every day for 6 years.
Yeah. So I do guided meditation. So the biggest thing that helped me was just it's only 10 minutes. I don't do the whole half hour. I literally use an app called Headspace. I've done every single meditation on there. And they actually, if in Philadelphia, I believe they gave it out for free during the pandemic. And like I got my mom on it and everything. It's really nice. I really thought it was like corny at first. But you realize resetting your mind will really open a lot of things up. If you're not thinking clearly, Santa said, like if you're trading with fear, if you just take a couple minutes, kind of reflect, chill out, set your goals for the day, you'd be amazed of what you can actually do. I feel like everyone wants everything now, and no one appreciates the process anymore.
What has the biggest change in your life been since beginning to meditate?
Much calmer, less angry. I used to be, I guess, I think every male when they're 19 to 21 is hyper aggressive, but nowadays I'm way more
Sure.
chill. You know, I don't do
Yeah.
drugs. I don't drink. I just kind of hang out, and I'm very chill, relaxed all the time. I get better
Work
sleep.
on work on your meditation.
And my NFT that I'm dropping,
Oh yeah.
that was from last episode. But let's talk about trading. So I'm curious, like Santa, like how you got into trading. Like, what was your first exposure, and then same with Koya as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think just like everybody, we had a lot of mentors that we, came across Like for example, my first trade was from a local friend that I know here. He got me into Webull, and seeing all these penny stocks telling me, hey, these guys, you gotta follow these guys, these are good. I did learn a lot from different mentors, so like technicals, patterns, resistance and support. Rob, just his sympathy plays. Kuya with his high volume. So it just basically, I was lucky enough to find all these great traders, that were willing to teach me as a new person, and that's what we try to do in precise trading. Like whatever I learned, I'm trying to give it back.
You've always been like that. I feel like you always get back to your people. That's one thing I always admired about you, is you actually care. I feel like a lot of people are just in it for the bag and get out, but you're actually there grinding, making sure everyone understands what's going on.
Yeah, and the constant lectures about them not being greedy.
The hardest thing in the world to learn. What
Yeah.
about you, Koya? Or Kuya? I'm gonna mess up a million times, but we'll be all
That's
right.
okay. I'm a COVID trader, so I came in kind of around when COVID started. I basically saw SPY kind of crash, and I thought, hey, I should buy Tesla, and that kind of got me into trading in general. And then I realized that the moves weren't as big, and somehow magically came across stock twits. I don't know how. Oh,
Classic story.
yeah, opened up a Robinhood account. Basically bought a bunch of small caps that were up, hundreds of percent, and basically blew my account many times until I figured out that I need to kind of get my stuff together and learn. I'm a person that is very passionate, so once I put my mind to it and started to learn from some of my mentors as well, then it kind of evolved from there.
You hear how calm they are, Blaine?
I do. I do. I love it. I love it.
Now, would you say so? You guys all had multiple mentors, right? Is there anyone in particular that really stands out to you that really like taught you the game? Because like I have someone in my mind who really taught me the game of like trading and everything like that. Is there anyone that stands out in particular?
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you a couple shout outs that you guys probably even know about. The first guy was this really talented options trader that I know. His name is Gap Up. He taught me technicals because I would tell him like, what does that moving indicator mean? He would just refer me to his little tab of education. and then
Awesome.
and then there was Emperor. That's a big Atlas trader at 1.2. He would tell me that he would see the stock market like movie scenes. So basically, chart patterns, he will already notice what would happen in pre-market. So if there's an ABC pattern, he obviously knows where to add and what it would do next. I believe Spud, you probably know him from
Yeah, of
Sapphire.
course I know Spud. Yeah, he's an
He
OG. I
he
love him. Great dude.
He is
he,
an OG.
he is amazing. He taught me a lot in his even though he carries a premium group, I think it's worth it. He taught me a lot of lessons for resistance and support. So he will go over plays that he ran that day. So I understood that okay, we buy at support, and then I know that the next point will be where I will probably sell at the next resistance. Rob, everybody knows that he's like the
He's
sympathy
back.
plays, and he's back. Hopefully,
Let's
he's back
go, bro.
forever. So everybody's excited about that because we know what he brings to the table. And Kuya taught me a lot. We met in PT, and he taught me a lot about the high volume plays in market hours. Because for me, I prefer trading in pre-market. I feel like there's more buyers and sellers there. People are more focused about to see how high this can get. But once you get to market hours, it gets a little bit trickier. Some more brokers open and stuff. But yeah, those are the mentors that I can tell you from back of my mind.
Very cool.
What about you, Koya? Who are your mentors?
Um, I kind of so when I started and I was sitting with two blown accounts, having no idea what I was doing, I
Yep.
basically went online on YouTube and Rainer Teo, he was one of my mentors. I watched basically hours and hours of videos trying to figure out how to read a chart or use indicators, and so that kind of helped me. But I think for the most part, it wasn't. I didn't really have much direct contact, but it was mostly watching a lot of these big guys. So, like, I really look up to Ultra,
Ultra's one of my
Spud.
buddies. Yep.
Yeah, Spud is another one. Rob, and even some of the Atlas guys. Just the way that they trade, the stuff that they trade. I kind of learned on my own and watching them. And so, those are the kind of the people that I look up to and still look up to. Santa as well. He was basically the one that pushed me to kind of take it to the next level as a trader.
Yeah, Santa put you on, man. He put you on. You're a legend now. I see they talk about you on Momo Chat now. How does it feel?
Are you talking Momo Chat where?
In Atlas, I see your name
Oh,
mentioned in there.
I'm not in that room at the moment, but
Okay.
it's cool, man. I was literally, the guy who was on StockTwits that knew nothing, and so now I know a lot more, and I'm still learning. But all I want to do is kind of spread financial literacy and stock market wisdom, because when I started, you don't really know where to start. And so I want to give people an avenue to be able to ask questions, to feel comfortable, and kind of go through the same trading journey, but kind of minimize it so they don't make the same mistakes that I did.
Awesome. I'm telling you, they're good. They're calm. I love it. Now, another good question I always love to ask people is like, what was the turning point, right? So, like for me, I realized that I was taking way too much size, over trading, just like the classic mistakes that people like know they're doing it, but they don't know how to stop doing it. As awkward as that sounds. So I was wondering if there was like any really turning point, or is it as simple as just sitting down, studying, doing the TOS kind of replay, journaling? Is there anything that you did that really pushed you to the next level?
Well, for me personally, I can tell you that once I found out like how low floats are.
Yep.
There's a lot of manipulation in them. So the biggest thing that I could tell everybody that changed my game was when I realized that I needed to find my own place.
Yeah.
It's especially with options, because I can wait for somebody to tell me to buy something, but if I buy with them, I'm 90% sure I'm probably gonna lose. But if I buy with my parameters and I know what's going on, I know what's driving this stock, I know what the news are, then I have a higher chance of me being able to know where to get off, when do I need to stop loss? Because when you hear somebody, what's the price target of this, you can understand they're kind of lost. They don't know what's going on. They don't know that they need to look back, maybe the weekly chart, maybe the 4 hour chart, see what the ranges are on this stock. So the biggest takeaway that made me a better trader was that when I started making my own place, I stopped listening to so much noise. I actually just use people for trade ideas, not for buying signals. And that made a huge difference, because I was chasing tops, and you know how these penny stocks are. They could be up 100% and they'll go down 75%. So you're down, what, 25% already
Yep.
if you're buying the top. So you just got to be very careful who you follow. There's a very few traders that I follow that will give me good trade ideas. But at the end of the day, I make that final decision. And I think that was just a game changer for me.
Yeah, and I think to kind of back that, to kind of track your progress as a trader, I think a trading journal is absolutely critical for anyone who's starting and still trading. I think if you have a good trading journal, you can kind of objectively look at your trades and say, here was my plan, my entry, my risk, my stop loss, my reward. Here's the setup that I was playing. Here's how it, ended up. Here's where I ended up selling. And then you can kind of objectively go through and read those trades. And I think going through that kind of helps you figure out, what's working, what's not working.
I want to go back to the fear thing. This is something I've been thinking about a lot, is sometimes I feel like I trust myself a little bit more than I trust other people. It's a new thing I'm learning as a trader, but whenever I would take someone else's calls, there would be like an element of like, how much can I trust this person? Is this person having a good day? Are they on a hot streak? Are they on a cold streak? Like, there would be a little element of questioning about it. Whereas when I take my own play, I'll have my 3 reasons for doing it or whatever. And I don't have any fear, because if it fails, I'm like, well, I did that and I took that because I wanted to. And it's been such an interesting thing to realize over time. Does that make sense? Or
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% makes sense.
I
Just
was
read Twitter
trying.
comments when people post plays. If you're ever wondering, what happens when you take someone else's play, you look at the comments of like a big trader. It's like, screw you, dude. Like, you're pumper, like whatever. And in reality, it's because when you take an alert, you don't go through the process, where the thought process, where your rules or anything. You just, oh, this person tweeted slap, 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 and then it knifes on
Right.
you, and then you immediately blame the other person. But I don't think that person has access to your account. They didn't press buy, right?
Right. Right. I used to have this rule that was like, it was don't take a trade unless another trader who you respect is in the trade. Well, that was a bullshit rule. And I wish that I had never made it, because what that led to was just like following calls. It was bad. It was a
There's
bad
no
rule.
easy way to trade, right?
Apparently not.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if you could come up with a good way, you'd be like a billionaire. Yeah, apparently
People sell
there's
courses,
no
but it's one of those things where you need to have that conviction and almost that discipline. I mean, you need to make the same mistake. Like I'm sure Koya and Santa, when it comes to low floats, we've all bought the top of a low float because we thought it was going to break out, and then it just instant knifes on us. And we've done it so many times that we know, we can see it in our heads, like, hey, this is getting a little too toppy, a little overextended. Like, I'm just going to sit out for a couple minutes, let it come back down to whatever, like VWAP or whatever, and then I'm going to add there, because you can see it time and time again. It comes with that like screen time almost. People get too eager, like, oh, it's going to go to the moon all in. I'm like, nah, dude, buy the dip. You can make the moon plus like an extra 25%.
Yeah, and I think that the whole presence of FinTwit is a blessing if you can use it in the right way, because it kind of helps direct your focus a little bit, as a lot of people are, have a hard time finding plays. And then once you kind of are looking at a play or an alert that someone's kind of using, then you can apply your rules. I would stick to your gut. Having trading conviction is absolutely essential, and the only way you can build that is you need to trust your setups. So if your setups are failing, you need to tweak it. But as soon as you kind of figure out what works for you, you just need to trust it. And I think that's something that's hard for a lot of people, especially as they size up. But I think having conviction in your own trade, that mindset, is already going to help you get past that fear.
Do you guys want to tell us your A+ setups?
Sure, I can tell you what I like to look for.
All right.
So for me, since I trade pre-market, I have to be extra picky, because you can tell that the volume is very small compared to the market hours. So for Kuya, he can barely clearly see like, 5-minute candles are like 1 million, but you're not gonna see that much volume in pre-market. But basically, what I look for is to see if the news is solid. What exactly is moving this stock? It could be a momentum play. Right now the theme is short squeeze, which to me is just an excuse to tell people to buy shares.
Someone finally said it. I'm not saying I agree, but yeah.
Yeah. So what I look for is just that, like Ellis said, the VWAP is very important. I do use indicators that are magic to me. MA5, I have seen it so many times when a news play is just riding it all the way up, and I ask myself, why did I take profits when it was just beautifully run up, But it's easier when you look back at a stock and you can see what happened. But I use moving average 5, 12. 12 will be my stop loss if I'm scalping. I'm a big scalper. I don't like to hold things too long. MA21 is the one that Kuya introduced me to. That's where people usually buy. MA50, everybody knows about that one, and MA200. So anything above MA200 and my VWAP, I look at it as a clear sign that, hey, I'm still good on this one right now. The other ones that I use is volume, and I have 6 charts on my screen. So I don't have MACD or RSI unless I really want to look into in depth on the stock. So those have been working like magic to me. Also Bollinger Bands. I treat the top one as, I might have to get out pretty soon, or let's see if it keeps holding it, and let's see if it keeps breaking it. The middle one would be, it's similar to the MA21. It would be where people buy. The bottom would be my last stop loss or my dip buy. That would probably be where I buy. And the time frames that I usually use for these, I know a lot of people don't like the 1 minute, but I do like it a lot. I think that it's the best for pre-market, and 5 minutes for any chart patterns.
So we've been interviewing people who have been on the 3-minute recently. I feel like it's a wave of people.
I think
people are on
Koya,
the
don't you use the
3-minute.
3-minute? I could have sworn you used it.
I kind of use all the time frames. I usually look to find a trend. So like my indicators remain, my rules are exactly the same, whether I'm playing a 1 minute chart or a 4 hour or daily. If I'm swing trading, breakout trading, etc., my rules are always the same. And so I kind of play on all the time frames to identify a trend. And then I'm mostly a trend buyer, and I play into volume and key breakouts. But I do
Okay.
like the three. I think the longer the time frame, you have a better indication of price action, so your candlestick reads are going to be a little more clear.
Yeah, higher the time frame, higher the conviction. It's like rule one of trading,
Exactly.
right? If you're playing a weekly breakout, you hold it until it goes, But if you're playing a 2 minute breakout, you're only going to hold it for 2 minutes. That's what I always tell people. Some people get, they'll keep switching all their time frames to find the pattern they're looking for. I'm like, we call that confirmation bias. It's like it may look like a bull flag on the 1 minute, but the 10 minute, it's not really giving me that kind of feel. So.
I find myself like when I need to get out of a play, but I don't really want to because now that I got the cash account, I got to be more like
Yep.
Frugal.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T+2.
So yeah, so I'm like looking at the 5, which is what I trade on. I'll start to look a little bad on the 5, and I'm like, well, let me check the 15, see if we're still good, and then I'll just go like higher and higher, and that's when I'm like, Blaine, like, should probably cut it if you got to look at like 7 different charts
Exactly.
to convince yourself to stay in.
Once you start stressing,
T+2s have been just
that's my setup.
raging recently.
That's what I play every single day. I have that down to a science. It's kind of gross, but yeah, that's my my bread and butter right now because I'm not really good at finding like big breakouts during the day. My Momo, I guess, scalping style is very similar to Spud. Spud, I want to say, if you ever listen to this, one of the best traders when it comes to Momo. He's not a quote unquote pumper. Like the plays he plays are such high volume that his tweet, his whatever comment on Webull is not going to move the stock. So he needs to get more love. But yeah, that's what I play. I normally play those consolidation zones like during lunchtime, kind of wait, buy some VWAP dips, wait for it to curl in the 8. Similar kind of breakout strategies.
Yeah, and Blaine, what I've noticed in this market is that A plus setup that you kind of talk about. I would rather not trade than take a non A plus setup in this market, and so that's how I've been able to navigate this like expensive chop. Because unless I'm looking at the chart and I'm thinking like, if I don't buy this, I'm dumb, like I'm stupid because this chart's gonna go. Those are the only setups I'm taking. I would rather not trade for a week and take one trade that's gonna go 100% than sit there and take small scalps where I'm gonna basically stop out.
That's a lot of patience. I like that.
You have a crazy amount of patience, don't you?
Yeah, I had to become emotional because it's the style that I play. It doesn't work well with emotions.
Yeah. Robotic, like you gotta trade like an algo, right? That's again rule 2 of trading. You gotta be an algo. No emotions. Watch the tape. Now, do you guys read level 2 or anything like that? Where you just mainly like tape readers?
It's funny that you mentioned level 2 because when I started trading with Gap Up, I actually I didn't know how to read a chart, So for me, it was kind of like just reading the level 2, seeing like the tickers and stuff. Like I would just see the percentage going up, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is nice." So I actually started learning how to trade just looking at level 2, seeing who was bidding, I would see the resistance, the support, and it made sense to me. So that's when I started trading, and then once I learned how to read charts, I put it together, and it makes sense to me. You can see where somebody's trying to keep something down on the level 2.
Yeah, you can always see the resistance on the level 2 if you know what you're looking for. It's actually interesting. You probably got a little bit of leg up because you say that you have a resistance at like 150 and you see like 100,000 ask. You're probably like, oh, well, that level is clearly important. I wonder why it's important. And you can almost backtrack and kind of learn your support and resistance that way.
Yes, sir.
Irrational exuberance?
When it comes to killer wine at drastically low prices,
30 to 70% off retail and free shipping.
we live for that here at Last Bottle Wines. Whether you went long or short on GameStop, you'll need a glass of something terrifically tasty.
And we've got the goods.
Last Bottle is a daily wine site based in Napa, California.
One wine every day.
At Black Swan event prices.
Usually 30 to 70% off.
Until poof, it's gone. Whether you're a pound the table type,
Think ultra crisp, quaffable Sauvignon Blanc,
or a dividend aristocrat,
Burgundy, or Napa Cab.
there simply is no better place to buy wine on the web.
And they always have free shipping.
Last Bottle has a deal just for Penny Lane listeners. Use promo code PENNY
That's PENNY.
to save 10% off your next order with Last Bottle.
The code is good for one order and one order only, and it expires March 11th, 2022.
So head over to lastbottlewines.com today. That's lastbottlewines.com.
Now, Kuya, you said you're a trend buyer, right?
Yeah, so I mostly do like intraday swings or breakouts, and so for me, trend dips are like perfect for my
So,
style.
how would you describe a trend dip to someone that's not familiar with it?
So for my rules, it's very simple. I use like EMAs just because it factors in like more short-term price action, but
Yep.
I use the 21, the 50, and the 200. And so what I usually look for on a trend buy is first I have to identify a trend. So usually I'll cycle through the time frames. I like to use like 5, 15, 30 an hour. And I want to see kind of since I'm playing mostly momentum is, I want to see this stock bounce off this trend level. And basically once I can identify that trend, let's say it's the 21 EMA on a 5-minute chart, then I'm looking to enter on a bullish reversal or bounce play. So maybe like a 3 white soldiers off the EMA into like a MACD curl, like those type of plays is where I'm looking to add off the trend and then kind of sell into breakouts or resistance failures.
Interesting. So you're almost using candlestick patterns as well, like the charts you see on the on Amazon, right? It's like 3 white soldiers. You have the tweezer bottom, those kind of like
Yeah,
candlestick setups.
yeah. I had to lessen the noise to start, but you have to learn them one by one. So essentially, I'm playing candlesticks. I'm using indicators, and I'm also watching level 2 in time and sales. And I've figured out kind of a process in which I can identify all that and take these basically high probability trades.
Interesting. Now, I'm starting to realize that there's a theme among both of you of blocking the noise. Could you maybe put each of you like in your own words what that actually means? Because I see a lot of it on Twitter, but I feel like a lot of people can't comprehend it.
Well, for me, it's because I have seen I have seen all the rounds about penny stocks. I can tell you the good, I can tell you the bad. So just realizing how much manipulation is involved, it scared me, to be honest. At one point, I didn't know who to trust. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, man, you gotta like look for your own plays. You gotta see who's solid, who you can really follow, who you cannot. So what I do is I do follow people on Twitter, but I just like to see who is in what play, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So once I have that established, I can tell myself like, okay, then I gotta be careful. If this guy announces a sale, it might, this is a 4 million flow. It can easily be whatever trend that we're on right now. They can easily just dump it and cause us, short sellers to come in, the shorties to take over. That's what we call like when they turn on the short algos on against us. That's what we used to call it.
They're on
So
right now.
yeah, so we're always wary of. Well, I'm always wary about that. Who's in my stock? What Discord's in it? It just all depends on blocking the noise. Like once I get to that point, I know that this is a safe play or not. But I do just use them for reference, just to see who's in what. For blocking out the noise, yeah, you gotta trust your plays, trust your own plays. Once you find something that you like, you can see your support and resistance. You just got to go by that. I can't just go by somebody telling me, hey, this penny stock that was 30 cents is going to go to, $10 or something. It's just unrealistic to me because I know how much money it would take for you to send that over there. And we know that these companies are not, they're penny stocks. This is not Apple. This is something that might even get delisted one day.
So you're telling me that Naked is not the next Tesla?
No, of course not. They can try to buy every EV company and they're not going to be Tesla.
Wait, didn't they do a ticker change? I think they changed to CENN or something like that, right? Anyone know? Random.
I haven't followed since the GME era.
I missed that. I remember buying it and went up like $3 like a share after hours. I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Koya? Like, how would you define, blocking out the noise? If you're a new trader came to you and I'll let you. You probably know where I'm going with this.
Oh,
I'll let
okay.
you take
Yeah,
over.
yeah. So, I think the problem with so much access to information nowadays is you kind of have to sift through what's good and what's bad, and so as much as you can kind of get information overload, I think you need to block a lot of the other stuff that gets thrown at you. And so for me on Twitter, I'm like Santa, like I want to see like who's playing what, how they're playing it, are they already in, based on the chart, like how much can it run before I feel like it's risky. And so I'm basically using it as like a social gauge to kind of see, who's in what, etc. And I also have a lot of mentors that I follow. So they all have similar trading styles to me. And so if they're taking a play, I'm interested in seeing, why are they taking that play? Because it's probably something that I'd be interested in as well. It just keeps everything simple. If you can keep trading stupid and simple, it's so much easier.
So much
Totally.
easier said than done, though. I remember when I first started, I had probably like 100 indicators. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play these breakouts. Like, you ever hear of a Jade Lizard, an option strategy? You ever hear of that?
What?
It's called a Jade Lizard. Yeah, that was what I was learning those option strategies before I even like knew what a debit spread was. Yeah, and then I realized I think I'm getting a little too deep in this large cap space here.
Yeah, it's like you there's a lot of people on Twitter that I admire and I follow. It's just that, I try to keep everything very nice and clean so that way I'm not, reading or getting a lot of too much information at one time. That's it.
So you
Just
know what
keeping it
works for
simple.
you. Yeah, you know what works for you. Now, another question is, do you think certain chat rooms or furus, I guess we call them, have certain algorithms attached to them? Like, do you
Oh,
think
interesting.
this is because these are penny guys? So I'm curious. Like, let's say person A, he tweets out a stock, and where she tweets out a stock, do you think it moves differently than if person B was to, let's say, alert it? Do you think different algorithms are attached to different people?
Santa, you want to take that one?
Um, well, from personal experience, I have seen it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
depends. It depends on because we can even bring up an example of a certain furrow that would call X ticker, and then a short report will come out next day.
Yep.
Like I feel like they're being targeted as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've always wondered that because I started to get those feelings because I've seen, especially recently, I've seen plays be alerted and like it just gets stacked up with ask, like immediately just drowned and murdered. And I'm like, there has to be something on this. Like,
Yeah, there's definitely stuff there, and I think too on the flip side, there's a lot of finger pointing from followers. But like for me in particular, like I'm the guy giving out alerts, and so I don't want my team to lose as well. So I'm trying to pick plays that are very low risk, high probability of winning, but you still kind of get these guys that will like a stock will go up and then it immediately gets hit with a huge short or you
yep.
can just see their price pinning on the bid. So
We're
I
bid
have
propping it the other way.
exactly. So I feel
Yeah.
like there is stuff there that's out there.
Interesting. Yeah, that's something I've definitely realized over the long years and gray hairs I've learned from trading, or earned, I guess we can say. So
That makes it such a rigged game, an even more rigged game.
it is rigged, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen it. So I wouldn't say that it's rigged, like someone's out to get you sort of ordeal. Although some people will portray it that way. I think it's more of just the nature of the hustle, right? For example, we're going through a correction for the last 60 days. And just today, CNBC is like, correction, world's over. So, all the boomers are going to liquidate their 401ks tomorrow. And I
Hmm.
guarantee we have a great green day tomorrow. Like, that's just how it goes, right? There's always some ulterior motive. You just got to kind of be smart about it.
I mean, that's truly why keeping your strategy super simple, I think, is so important because you could go insane trying to factor in the algos and the media and the furus and if you try to sort of account for all of those things, it's paralyzing. I think that's why in the chart, the beginner's trader chart or whatever, like the beginners always have so much luck because they're not afraid or they're not trying to factor in for X, Y, and Z. They're just
Slap, slap,
footloose
slap.
and fancy free,
And then once they
I
start
do
learning
feel
from
like
you,
it's a little different as a new trader when you're slapping, $1,000 versus $50,000.
Sure, sure,
yeah, you
sure.
can't market buy 50K anymore. It used to. Last January you could. Now
Yeah, there's
you'll
no
move the stock.
liquidity. Yeah.
No, there's no liquidity. Now, is there ever days where you just don't trade if you don't see a setup?
For me, like I told you guys, I have an abundance mentality. I always feel
Okay.
like there's always going to be a penny stock that at least is going to go 20-50% in pre-market for me. So every day it's a grind for me, especially if we're in charge of precise trading and we got to look out for the guys. So for us, for me personally, there's no days off. Either I'm hanging around or looking for a certain play, but every day there's a penny stock that's running for us.
They got those rippers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about precise trading. How did that sort of come to be?
To be honest, you guys know, like Ellis said, he went to Rob's Discord first. I don't even know what they call it before. I think it was
It
just
was
called
it was
PT.
yeah, it was called PT. I found it on Reddit randomly by some random dude saying, "Yo, this Discord's fire. Check it out." I literally googled penny stock Discord, and that's how I found it.
So yeah,
Okay, all
I,
right.
s- I started talking to him and I was like, hey man, I wouldn't mind being your moderator for free. We had like what 6,000 members when I met him. Once
Yeah.
Rob got really, everybody started liking his plays. We eventually got to 17,000, I believe, members. And pretty active too because you got to look at the online people so they're not bots or anything. So yeah, we grew it. People are very happy there. We actually do it for free now. Rob didn't want to make it premium at all, so what we try to do is do random charities every month, which makes me very happy, because I know there's people that rather give their money to charity than pay taxes.
Totally.
You guys do charities? Could you maybe explain a little more? Like, so instead of, I guess, hosting a premium service, people donate money to a charity, and you guys, give a check or something like that.
Yeah, so we try to do it independently. For example, like I wouldn't want them to just cash at me and then I'll decide where to go because that would be kind of sketchy. So we first started with St. Jude, and I try to do like the research behind it to make sure that these are legitimate charity places. Then we did Home for Troops, which that one was that was very touching because they actually sent us everybody that donated. They sent us a magnet and stuff.
Really?
That's
That's
for
awesome.
Yeah, that's for veterans that are trying to get a home, and you know how houses are right now, especially if you're in a wheelchair, they can be a little bit more expensive. So that was very motivating. Um, Kuya had a one for Suicide Prevent Lifeline. That one was really good as well. And then we had a Bethesda project, homeless project. So just giving back and everybody trading, it just takes off the pressure of a premium Discord. Like it's not like you're paying us for these calls, and we're giving back to the community. So that really makes us all happy.
That gave me
That's
chills. That's awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Now, was your upbringing similar? Like, were you raised in a household to always give back? Because it kind of seems that way.
To be honest, I'm not somebody to say this out loud, but
Okay.
I believe in God, but I believe that He gave me that gift of serving, and
Okay.
I actually enjoy serving. So it just comes with that. I'm not sure with Kuya what drives him, but he does a lot for us too.
So Santa was talking about how he feels like a sense of purpose of always giving back. It's something he's always believed in. So Koya, I was interested, like, where do you get your sense of purpose from? What was your motivation? Because this is the first time we've ever had someone on here talk about donating and how much it really means to them. So I was just curious, like, where you get the motivation from.
I think there's a lot of like darkness in this world, and so anything that I can do to kind of help that, I'm all for. I believe in Santa and a lot of the charities that we give back to. So if there's anything that we can do to help, someone in need, I'm more than welcome to do so.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Like I said, Penny, the PT boys are one of a kind. One of a kind. I was so excited. I was texting her this morning. I'm like, Penny, tonight's gonna be lit. You have no idea.
Yeah, you guys have a fantastic vibe.
Yep, one of the
Thank you,
Yeah.
best.
guys.
So next, we were talking a little bit off air, but I was curious, like, where your names come from, right? People always ask me where mine came from. I made mine up like randomly in the middle of the night, but it seems like you guys maybe have a little more meaning to your names. So I was curious if you want to tell a story about it.
So for me, before I started trading stocks, I was actually a paralegal at an immigration law firm.
Whoa,
So
no way. Wait, really?
Whoa.
Wow,
yeah,
that's cool as shit. Okay, sorry.
so I dealt with a lot of asylum people. So you hear a lot of sad things, but you still have to have your best A game. So I started like looking up to one of the attorneys, and he was a Stoic. He told me about Stoicism, about like accepting things how they are. And then I started looking them up, and I went towards different types of Marcus Aurelius, then Aristotle, and his quotes really hit me. I was like, one of them is like, happiness depends upon ourselves. Like those things, it just they hit you. They're like very wise things. So I kind of wanted
Mhm.
to imitate that in my life.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. I didn't know you were paralegal. Wow. Okay, that's cool. That's how you guys are so calm. Paralegals, man, crazy lifestyle, especially in the immigration office. Woo! Can only imagine the stories you've probably heard there.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Koya?
So my ethnicity is I'm Filipino, and so Kuya is like it's like a polite term to call someone. Usually, it's like an older brother. And so when I started trading, I kind of think everyone kind of takes on like a social persona, and so I've kind of just been anonymous for the most part. But that's kind of where my name originated from. It's kind of like Big Brother who kind of helps out.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, your Twitter handle's thanks Koya, so it's almost like thanks Big Brother. I guess it's like a how would a term of endearment maybe or
Yeah,
politeness.
yeah, like a polite term of endearment.
Awesome. So better than saying thanks, dude.
Right.
No, I really like that. I feel like you guys really build up your persona, and I think this podcast is really going to show what types of people you are, right? I think that's the beauty of podcasts is people get to tell their story, what they're about, and you really get a sense and feel. And I feel like people are going to be blown away by this. I really think so.
Yeah.
Now, Koya, were you a paralegal before trading?
I am not. I am
Uh,
a computer science major by trade, and I own part of a software company, development company. So that's why I've kind of been
yeah, you guys stay in the
flying under the
shadows.
radar, anonymous.
That's
Yep.
awesome. Are you
Yep.
still in college, or are you an adult now?
No, I graduated.
You don't have to say
It's weird.
years.
It's weird to say, but a long time, not a long time ago, but almost a decade ago. And so I've been kind of doing that most of my life until I came across trading. And so I'm in a position where I can kind of manage both because I'm kind of sitting at the desk anyways. I have charts up anyways. So
Yep. Yeah, so you work
that's kind
fully
of how it
remote,
started.
do that thing. So you still work full time, right?
Yeah, I work full time. I mean, trading I would say is part time, but other people
Yep.
will say that I'm on all the time anyways.
Well, you just have it up on your computer next to you. And you're just waiting. I mean, half of trading, people like want to jump into being a full time trader. You just want to sit at your desk and wait all day. Like, it sounds fun.
Yeah, and I've actually figured out kind of like, what setups I'm taking, so I don't even really need to stare at a chart. I already have my alerts, like price alerts set, so as soon as those go off, I'm taking my trades, and that's kind of it. Otherwise, I'm not worrying about it.
Awesome. And now you both trade on Webull, I believe, right?
Yeah, I started on Webull, and you're gonna probably kill me.
Uh-oh.
But when I looked at the order book for options, I was so confused.
It's not
So
green and pretty.
yeah, so I can understand how people get, turned by Robinhood. But then after the Robinhood saga, I was like, no, I gotta learn Webull how to figure it out, even though the fields are not the best. So I'm thinking of switching to Thinkorswim right now for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, the fills, though, they do kind of rob you sometimes, I will say.
Ugh. I have so much beef with Weeble. I can't even.
What do
I'm
you
Everyone
a
mean?
I'm a
listens to
You're
Weeble
my
trader.
best knows. So
Weeble's the best. I have hotkeys for options. Come on. And I don't have to pay commission. It's not bad at
I
all.
hate it. I hate it.
Why?
I told you I had that DWAC option that I was up like over $100 on, put an order in to sell it, closed the app, came back, it sold it for like negative $25.
Wow.
Yeah, sounds about
I
right.
was
They do have
pissed.
a customer service number if you search deep enough on the internet, and they will answer you. I had an issue where their platform was down, and I couldn't sell like my 0-day expiration lottos at 350. So I called them, and they actually refunded me the full amount of the money for what I paid. So I will say, customer service is there. So if
That's
anyone
why you
has
don't trade
problems,
options. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, when you're born a degen, when you have like 10,000 shares of a penny stocks, it doesn't give you the same rush because it's not going to go to zero.
Right.
Even though this market is not very kind to option traders because of the really expensive premiums. So I have been doing a little bit of scalping. I basically only play inside bar squeezes when it comes to small caps. That's what I play all the time. I haven't mastered, so and I don't. It's very low risk management. Like I don't have to watch it. I just kind of let it do its thing. Just set like a trailing stop.
Inside bar and T plus setups have been absolutely killer the last 3 months.
Yeah, and they're not
Yeah.
that hard to figure out. Like you just wait for shorts to get out. You start seeing the shorts kind of cover into the tape, and you start buying their covers, and you just wait.
And you usually get 3 days of consolidation, so the risk is very minimal.
Exactly. You have shout out to Ariel for the 1 hour chart. That's what I base it off of. So I look at the 1 hour. Normally it's like a wedge or ascending triangle, whatever you want to call it, and I just buy off trend line similar to what you do, and just add the dips and just kind of wait. It just takes a little bit of patience. That's
Yeah.
I think Amanda C was the one who taught me that. I
I was
remember
gonna
she
say
posted about it.
Amanda C is the queen of that.
Dude, she's the queen of FinTwit, bro. I love her, dude. I remember had like 120 followers, something like that, and I posted like OBLGN or whatever, because she blew me up. I was hyped, bro. I think it was like 80%, dude. Like I thought like Lambos were gonna come through like every window of my house, like. Even though at the time I think I had like $5,000 worth, but I still felt really cool.
That first big play is always amazing.
That's really nice and generous of her to do.
She is probably one of the greatest. I highly recommend people checking her out. But speaking of big plays, do you guys remember like your first big play?
I believe I had one that was amazing. I think it was something with Alzheimer's, but basically I loaded the boat because I knew that they were gonna have FDA approval news. And the thing that happened was that I loaded like right at 7:50, and then right after 8 o'clock, they came out with FDA approval news. So you knew how happy I was in the
Oh
morning.
man, yeah, your alarm went off like 20 minutes before. You're pouring out the champagne, calling the wife like, "Yo, Lambo's new house." Like, what was the ticker
Yeah.
for that? I think Ripster was the one that was really bullish on that, right?
I'm trying to remember if it was Orf or not. There was one, or I'm trying to remember the name, but I can't remember. But that was like the best trade I ever had because you know how 4 a.m. is, things
Oh
just go
man,
ballistic. So that thing it shot up like at least 80%, I believe, and that's where I sold, and it still went up.
probably looking at your phone like, "Oh, there's another couple hundred. Oh, there's a couple thousand right there. All right, that's a new house." Like, that's 4 a.m. because people do 4 a.m. is like if you're ever up that time trading on Webull, it's madness.
It's insane, yeah.
You gotta be quick though.
Very quick.
What about you, Koya? What's your biggest play if you remember?
I actually had a pretty significant amount of runners. Not to sound like braggy or whatever, but
You guys are the
it,
farthest thing from brag you've ever had on this podcast.
it was
Okay.
just that
Totally.
I used to have them all. I used to have them all mapped out. But off the top of my head, I would definitely say I played IRNT when that was like
Oh, very nice.
a gamma squeeze play. I think I took it from like 20 to 60. I took I believe it was MRIN for a good trade, and I think my biggest one last year was HX. I
Oh,
think
the
it was
China
like,
one? Oh man, I think it
yeah,
went from $1 to like 50.
yeah. I think I took it from. I think it was like I spotted like some after hours tape and some weird loading. I think I got in like around $3, and then I rode it all the way up to I think 20.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, most of the room, got major gains. And then of course AMC. I had AMC at like $2, two something.
Everyone made money on
Awesome.
AMC.
Exactly.
That was fun.
Yeah, HX was crazy. That was now that all these like weird low float China algos. My buddy Barn and I'm sure you guys are familiar with him. Like dude, he is so good at finding these things. I think he has like a scanner on his computer just for these China plays. And then we load it up, and then if they have a lot of them have options, so we'll just load the farthest out the money puts, like pets. We had like 1.5 puts on it, and we just held, and they're up like thousands of percent because he spotted liquidation. He's like, it's gonna die today. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Like,
Yeah, those Chinese algos are very black and white. Like MOXC was another one that I rode for a pretty good trade as well. But
How
that
do
whole
they do it?
sector, I don't even know. It's mostly like you'll read the tape and time and sales, and I don't know how, but I feel like I could just tell when they're trying to push a stock up. You'll just see the blocks come in and kind of there's no really manipulation. There's no walls. There's no
Nope.
bids. There's no asks. It's just kind of has a healthy
Literally,
trend.
it's just blocks just coming across the tape. I've been trying to figure out like what they're doing over there, but it's almost like someone sitting behind a computer just walking up the bid every single day. And it's not a lot of volume too. It's not like hundreds of million. Like it's like sometimes like 100K or like 150, and then it slowly increases until it just slams down.
Yeah, I think that's like learning like a stock's personality, which is also kind of one of those intangible things that you learn as a trader is, not only price action, but kind of how or the way that this trades in certain markets.
Yeah.
What's your favorite stock right now? What's your go-to? Because we've all been playing the same stocks for like 6 weeks now. What one do you think is one of the better ones to trade? Or one you traded this week? I don't know.
Well,
For me personally, I trade a day, so I can't really tell you.
Okay.
I just feel like these penny stocks, every day we have a new play for me.
yeah, I'm mostly a momentum guy as well, so I'm basically swinging momentum, but my play right now is Pixie.
Oh,
That's Blaine's
God.
favorite. That's her favorite stock.
Oh, God. I just almost vomited.
So funny story is every time I played it, I lost bad, very bad. And then I basically watched the last couple days, did some DD, found some really good stuff. It was super undervalued, was in kind of different sectors. It had extremely high short interest. And so it kind of was like a all-in-one squeeze play. And so a lot of our guys in our room, got in just about $1. So most of them are up pretty big right now.
What does Pixie do? I thought they were blockchain and like a
They were
hiring firm.
holograms for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sounds like a penny stock. And nuclear
Yeah.
engineering, right?
Pixie was my biggest loss I've ever had, and I will
What happened?
never play it again.
You ever tell a story? I'm trying to think. I don't remember.
I was in Atlas, and PJ called Pixie, and at the time PJ was on fire, and I was winning on his calls, so I bought Pixie. I bought like way too big of a position. I mean, let's say like maybe 3,000 shares or something, like more than I should have bought. And it immediately knifed, and I lost $1,200. And it was probably my first 2 weeks of trading real money. So that was a lot of money to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then like throughout the day, PJ was like, Pixie's like still alive or whatever, like still kind of talking about it. And then he posted again, like, I found an entry on Pixie, and I was like, just wanted to make that money back. Bought the same amount, and it knifed. So I was down like over $3,000 on I've never lost $3,000 on a play, like ever. And I like came home and cried and had to tell my husband, and I was like, I don't think I can do it. I mean, it was horrible. And here we are.
Here we are.
Here we
I think-
are, like almost 2 years later or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I just think
Here we
everybody
are.
has to pay that tuition someday, Like I had my
Yeah.
very nasty you can look at YMTX, that thing was $10, right now it's $2. I took a nice burn on that one recently. That's another thing that I wanted to touch. One of the best traders that I know, and I think you probably know her, Ellis, Lucky.
Yep.
Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
So I saw
Super
her.
lucky.
Yeah, I saw her profit and loss one time that she shared, and everybody was just excited about how much money she made from, like, I don't know, I think it was like around, I don't want to say the wrong numbers, but I think it was like around PDT 25K to like 100. Everybody was just like, oh wow, she made 75,000. But what I looked at was her losses and wins. You could see that her losses were a lot more than her wins, and that kind of like, I was like, wow, a pro trader's taking that many losses, but certain wins that would actually overdo your losses. So that's one of the big lessons that I took from her as well. That everybody takes losses eventually. We can't predict where a stock is gonna go precisely. It's always gonna have to be something where you have a minimum loss to mitigate your losses, and let your runners run. So don't ever feel bad about losses. I think that's just tuition that we have to pay.
Yeah. I've been working so hard on letting my winners run. I'm not very good at it, but I've got this kind of like new. I'm posting my P&L on Twitter, and everyone is giving me advice, which I feel like the luckiest person in the world to get that kind of advice from people. But
And that troll, though, we can't forget about him.
yeah, that one guy.
I found out where he lived, though. I have a private plane. It's going to show up here in about an hour. We'll pull up. Don't worry.
Somebody was like, you need to take less plays, but bigger size in the plays that you win on. And really struck with me. So I've now been like scaling in more to winning plays and being like very, very patient with them. So if a chart, Ariel actually taught me to ask myself, like, is the chart telling me that I need to exit this trade? And like, if the chart's not telling me, then I don't have to exit the trade. And I'm trying not to look at the total P&L. I'm just like trying to let it play. And I mean, sometimes it can take hours, but it's been a very interesting way to watch a trade develop and not have to be so hectic with like being in and out, in and out. And I'm making like larger gains doing that.
Yep.
I don't know why I
P&L's
started telling
toxic.
that story, but
P&L's the worst thing to look at every day. My mentor in large caps, he told me, don't look at your P&L until the end of the month. He said, get off your screen, put a post-it note over, whatever it is, but don't look at it till the end of the month. That's what I was taught.
fascinating.
Now I do it weekly, so I don't look until the end of the week, because if I start Monday red, like this week I started Monday like a little bit red because I made like tiny scalp and then took like a semi-sized loss, but like nothing I haven't handled before. So I know like most weeks I'll end green unless the world collapses, which might happen tomorrow given market conditions. But Jim Cramer could tell me to liquidate my 401k and get into real estate. So we don't know, but
We don't know.
yeah, I always like to look at it at the end of the week, and then on Sundays when I'm doing like my chart sessions or my studying is when I really reflect on, okay, what went right with this trade, what went wrong here, and I just like to keep almost like a running tally, especially as market conditions change. Right, we're not in a quote unquote hot market unless you're a bear. So
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are struggling with that, and learning to kind of the market's forcing you to be able to have risk management. And I think that's something that you're consistently learning, no matter how long or how good you trade. Sometimes you oversize, sometimes you over leverage, or you take too much risk, and just being able to like step back and assess it. Sometimes it hurts, but it's better than going deeper into the red. I know a lot of that's the term bag holder, but when you're trying to fight the trend, it's easier. I tell a lot of people to just start fresh, take a new trade or reset, than to just let that trade just eat you up and eat up your account.
Yeah.
do you guys teach opportunity cost of bag holding in your room? Do you ever talk to people about that?
I always tell them just to trade like robots, use indicators, basically, because I know a lot of people, like when I started being their mod, I used to see people holding things from like that we call that have gone 100%.
Yep.
So my biggest thing for them is always like, hey, there's so many penny stocks, and your penny stock might not run tomorrow. So make sure that if it went bad, at least know what's gonna happen next. If there's a catalyst, you can use the biopharmacist catalyst website. You can see what's really sending this stock. Do you really think that it's going to continue or not? So, I mean, you know how scalpers are. We just stop loss whenever we see that the play is done, or we take profits.
In and out. On to the next.
Yeah, and I
How many
always
trades are you guys taking in a day typically?
Typically, it really depends on the setup for me. For example, I took 2 trades today, and you can see that so many people will shout out so many tickers, but for me it's just about the setup. If the setup is perfect, then I'll play it. For example, if it's overview up and it's just grinding up to the next resistance, I'll play it. But if it's something that's already all the way up on the top, I wouldn't risk my money.
But it's just like, if you're scalping pennies, you can rack up a lot of trades. And, I really struggle with that too, because some of the people I learned to trade pennies from were taking, I mean, like 60 to 70 trades a day, and that's like both sides of the trade. So, 30 or whatever. But it really made me think, like, if you're playing pennies and you're just scalping them, you can really get in and out. And it's been a lot for me to unlearn that.
Yeah, for me it's almost about like quality over quantity. For example, like I had times where I want to scalp it again and I'll give back profits. So I have learned just to move on at that point, unless there's something that it's really good. Like you can see Pixie ran several times today, but most of the time I don't like double tapping the same stock. I do scalp it if I do see it run continuously, but most of the time I just don't want to return profits.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back in for round 2 has never been super beneficial for me.
It's like a
on a
toxic
stock.
ex-girlfriend, Like,
Right,
yeah,
right,
you want
right,
to go
right.
over her crib, but you probably shouldn't,
Right,
It's not going to
right.
end well. What about you, Koya? How many trades you taking a day? Now, trades not meaning like scaling in and out, but just like how many
Uh,
setups you playing or
it kind of depends. Like the market recently, I feel like since maybe September, I try to keep it less than 3 trades. One or two, or is really all I look to take. Like especially this year, I've been primarily focusing on like absolutely really good high probability setups, and I actually like it a lot more. It's a lot less stressful. I don't have to worry about it as much, and other people can also learn and win from those as well. So it's kind of like a double bonus. I'd rather take one really good trade than take a bunch of higher risk, low probability scalps.
Yeah, I get that. And that, I mean, I think that's such a product of just the market that we're in, too.
still money to be made? Like Santa says, always a play.
Well, what's interesting is, Ellis, a little way back in the podcast, you were saying, like, this isn't a great market unless you're a bear.
Yep.
Now, I've just been exclusively trading puts now that I'm on options
I know,
to
I've been getting
really
trolled on Twitter because I changed my
found my
location
home.
to, yeah.
It still feels kind of sideways and choppy to me. I don't feel like the grass is necessarily that much greener, but I'm new to puts. So
Yeah.
what do I know? I'm just telling you what I'm feeling.
No, it definitely is sideways. I mean, you get your big moves until probably like 11 a.m. and then we just kind of chop around and then we get 11 o'clock's European close. So for people that don't know, that's when the European markets close, like the DAX, and they come to our markets. So you got to see if they're buyers or sellers. And a lot of time we just kind of do nothing. And it's also OPEX week too for large cap people. So OPEX week is the best way to explain it would be how to rob as many people out of their money as possible.
Cool.
So, and that's also a small caps too, right? It's like we just want everyone like. So, my mentor was an old hedge fund trader and everything like that. And him and his firm would not trade during OPEX. They just wouldn't. They're like, I'll come back next week because you get those really choppy moves and you don't know what kind of algos are turned on small caps. Like for example, SBEB today, they literally held that stock at the same place for like 4 hours. So everyone that's in that stock. So I know like a lot of Momo rooms I teach like, putting your whole account to it. So as soon as it breaks out, the bears are waiting. The guy who has 1 million shares is waiting to sell in that pop. So it's very, very, very tricky to navigate.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys short at PT? You guys probably don't short stuff, right?
We have a room, but if I'm not sure if you've seen the gifts that I put in there, but it's usually
Ghost
very
town.
dusty. It's usually very dusty.
Bro, it's the dustiest room in the Discord.
Yes.
Yeah, we have
No.
some people that short a little bit, but for me, it's mostly just shorting the open flush. Nothing
Okay.
crazy.
So like 2-3% scalp. You probably don't even like talk about it. You just kind of do it on your own.
Yeah, we have a room for it, but like I don't like to call shorts and then someone in our room, another mod or someone else is going long. I'd just rather play myself than try to ruin someone else's momentum.
Yeah, shorting plays is like it's like the taboo of the world. I short more now. I have a speed trader account. I don't have that much money in it, but I'll just short a couple ticks here and there to kind of. I know once I start really shorting stuff, we're gonna have 1,000% runner, and TD Ameritrade or Speed Trader's gonna call me, and I'm gonna get margin called. I'm gonna like sell my car and like my kidney, so I'm just gonna wait. Like
Yeah, that's
I'm
the
just gonna wait.
downside.
Exactly. Even though Palmer, our good podcast friend, he likes to short the Furu killers, but I just I can't
I
do
think there's
that.
both sides to it. I mean, you just have to learn how to make money on both sides. I don't think there should be a bias if you want to go long or short. It's just wherever you can go to make money, I think is the option. I mean, the goal, right, is to make money in the market.
Yep. As we sort of wrap up here, I've really been loving asking this question. What stock best represents your personality and why?
That's a really tough one, to be
I
honest, because
know
I
it
play
is.
penny stocks and they're garbage.
Oh
So,
my god.
I'm gonna go with Apple because I think Apple has a lot of money and I like Apple. So I'm gonna go with
Okay.
Apple. I'm not gonna go with any penny
Perfect.
stock.
Perfect.
Yeah, penny stocks are garbage, and I'm not garbage, so I'm just gonna say, oh my god, that was great. Wow.
I don't even know. I can't even think of anything. I would probably say SPY. Sometimes I have my good days, sometimes I have my bad days, and usually I'm pretty choppy.
Perfect. I love those reasons. Alice, do you want to tell us yours? Do you have one?
I would say I'm probably like a Ford. I'm like an old wise
Yeah.
boomer that's undervalued.
Yeah, 100.
Also, my largest trade of 2021. So, yeah.
So you buying
Or
a new
20.
Ford?
I actually do drive a Ford. Yes, I do. But I live in Philadelphia, so I haven't driven my car in almost 2 months. So, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this was
Well, Penny, you gotta answer it.
lovely.
Whoa.
Wait, I have on a previous podcast, but in case people haven't heard, I said CCL, which I'm actually not trading anymore, but I said like CCL just shows up every day and sort of gives it its best shot. It's very reliable, and she's out there just trying to do something.
She's riding the wave.
Yeah. So that's what I picked. Maybe I can transition to a cooler stock as the year goes on. But that's where I am right now.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well, guys, this was just lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I learned so much.
No worries. It was my pleasure.
Thank you
Well,
guys for inviting us.
We really appreciate it.
The politest, most well-spoken probably guest we've ever had, I will say.
Totally. All right. Well, enjoy your night, and you're welcome back anytime. We'd love to have you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Guys, we are getting very close to March 11th, which is the last day you can use the code PENNY for 10% off your order from Last Bottle Wine. We love the company. The wine's amazing. The prices are fantastic. If you like wine at all, I really encourage you to use this coupon code. Thanks. Thank you so much to our producer Joel Edwards and Chesley Lowe for the banjo music.
By accessing this podcast, you acknowledge that the Penny Lane podcast makes no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional or financial advice. Unless specifically stated otherwise, the Penny Lane podcast does not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast, and information from this podcast should not be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement. The third-party materials or content of any third-party site referenced in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions, standards, or policies of the Penny Lane podcast. The Penny Lane podcast assumes no responsibility or liability for the accuracy or completeness of the content contained in third-party materials or on third-party sites referenced in this podcast, or the compliance with applicable laws of such materials and or links referenced herein.